Hey, so we have just gone live and welcome to everyone. We welcome to all the members from different parts of the world. And first of all, we'd like to welcome Mr. Sareen for joining us early in the morning from LA, US. And I'd like to introduce you first to the host, Mr. Gagan Kapoor. Gagan Kapoor is part of our SowtexConnect initiative, and he's also the host for the evening, followed by I will be taking over thereafter. So I would like to start off with the members coming in, and I could actually see that we already have about members joining in, Mr. Bipin Sehgal, Mr. Kamal, Kaushik, Karti Arora, Mansoor Lal, Mayank, Nimisha. So a lot of host of people who are joining us from various sides. And before we just start off, we just have about another minutes before we formally open up the session today. And today's session, we are going to be talking about emerging technologies in textile during the pandemic. So I let Gagan to take over from now on, and Gagan, take over from.
Absolutely, Sonal. Thank you so much for a lovely introduction and welcoming each one of them. And yes, it is my pleasure to have this session first of all, and to have Mr. Sareen in the room. Sonal, thank you so much for organizing and planning this. This has been a wonderful session which we are planning. And along with that, of course, I'd like to welcome all the people who have already joined us, being early birds to the session. And yes, we will be going ahead straight away into the session. It's sharp 7, and I'm going to go share my screen, and we'll tell you first of all about Sotex, the SowtexConnect, and then of course we'll go straight away into the session which all the people have been waiting for. So first thing first, let's get to see what exactly is Sotex. You're of course on that platform already. Many of you are new. Many of you have been on Sotex and on SowtexConnect sessions for a long time. So it is great. So let's see what Sotex is. Sotex is actually a tech aggregator and knowledge platform, which works primarily on a B2B network, business to business network, which eventually helps you connect globally to the people with its smart tech solutions, whether it is sales, whether it is sourcing. And of course, the real intention is that we want to give you a unified workflow whereby buyers and suppliers can connect regularly and then do some great business, grow some great business together. That is what is the intent of Sotex Network. And with this, we actually started. Sonal founded this in 2017, and it's great to see how this network has been growing. We are already 10,000 members strong. And yes, every single day we are moving forward with it. And when I said about the unified workflow, what exactly do we mean with it? We are talking about sourcing. Sotex Network is actually a sourcing and lead generation tool. If I talk about with real-time sourcing of raw materials, pricing, as well as delivery, portfolio management tool, whereby you can design records, listing and e-catalogs, surplus stock management and liquidation, idle capacity search, and updating. The third one is SowtexConnect, online learning management system, which we have created. It's a new initiative which we have started, whereby we are conducting networking meets, tech innovation sessions, knowledge series, fireside chats, and business growth sessions. And along with that, multiple interactions which we offer you here with buyers, manufacturers, sellers, vendors, experts, as well as industry associations. Overall, if you actually look at, this is how a typical dashboard of Sotex looks like, whether it is inquiry with the live feed or the stocks, as well as much more what you can get on the network. And our intent is now, with the changing times, now it's for the past 1.5 years, we've tried to see that how we can transform it digitally, right? So we want that how we can move away from touch and feel market for the time being, and then extend it further, reduce the consumption of natural resources, is something which we always want how we can do that, right? Optimize usage and recycle sustainability, and then reduce impact on environment and pollution. These are some of the things which we additionally would want to see happening, not only in the digital world, but once it moves ahead, then some permanent changes will be there, and we would definitely see, and we will keep doing this. That's our intent. And I want to briefly talk about SowtexConnect. What exactly is SowtexConnect? And as you can see, you are on one of this event. Our idea with SowtexConnect is all about learning, engaging, and collaborating. And thank you to our event sponsors, DTEX and VN International, as well as our association support, Garment Export Association of Rajasthan, who has been kind enough to support on this particular initiative. So what exactly is SowtexConnect? SowtexConnect helps the textile community get more opportunities to connect, train, interact, collaborate, and co-create. This is what is our intent. And all what you get is more value for our partners, up to date with the latest industry trends. We would want always that our members should do that, get inspired by the industry leaders. And we have one such leader in the room with us today. Along with that, upskilling your business, right? Yes, we do upskilling sessions for our members, so that you can upskill not only in the industry related topics, but apart from that, there were so many things what you need to understand within your business, right? HR, finances, the way it moves forward, a lot of such things, marketing, sales, and all that. We will be doing those sessions. And of course, the idea is whatever we do here, you learn from the best. And how are we doing this at SowtexConnect? We are doing this through networking events. We do this through knowledge series. We do through these tech innovation sessions, some fireside chats, and business and personal upskilling session. Ultimate aim, we learn, we engage, and we collaborate. And what kind of audience do you expect here? Brands, buying agents and retail chains, garment and home furnishing manufacturers, fabrics, trims and machinery manufacturers, as well as allied services working for the textile industry. And what kind of people? Large companies, medium companies, small companies, business owners, sourcing heads, sales heads, decision makers, merchants, as well as designers. Our idea is that we want to bring them all together and learn together, because we know that when we come together and we learn together, we can create a lot more opportunities for each other. Ultimate aim, as I've been saying, learn, engage, and collaborate. And what do you really need to do to learn, engage, and collaborate? All you need to do is look for the SowtexConnect monthly events calendar. And we do these sessions as a block. And I would request you to block your Thursday, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. until and unless we have someone who's joining from US, like today, where we have taken the session an hour and a half ahead. But usually all our sessions are Thursdays, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. And what do you expect to see? All of this or any of this, definitely. So what's coming in the next 1 month, I would say, or the next 20 days? Today, as you see, 20th of May, we have a tech innovation session. 27th of May, we have a knowledge session. I'm going to briefly tell about each one of them in the next couple of slides. 30th May, we have a business growth session. And 3rd of June, we have a networking event, which is coming up. Next week, the 27th, because we are getting closer to the World Earth Day, right? The Earth Day in June, the 5th June. So we're going to be having a session on design for environment, right? Let's plan a sustainable world together. And we are going to be bringing in eminent panelists from different geographies across the globe, for that matter. Somebody from the brand is going to be there, somebody from sourcing is going to be there, and somebody from manufacturing. So 3 eminent panelists, as we always do. We will be coming out with the names of these people by tomorrow, right? On the 30th, we have this business growth session, whereby all of our members can learn from an expert, business automation coach Keval Kishan, whereby we will be talking about how to automate your business with Google Forms and Google Sheets, which you can implement in your daily business strategies. And then the 3rd of June, we are having our networking event. It's a one-to-one event whereby people come in, have one-to-one meetings with each other, plan, and in the past 2 networking events, which we've held in April and May so far, we have had 100+ opportunities which got generated live within that event itself. And 68% of them have already been connected with each other and are on their way to do business. So we want to bring you all together for this. That's the idea. And as I said, before I hand it over to Sonal, I would like to thank our sponsors, DTEX, as well as VN International. DTEX is, of course, one of the companies which is there in very, very nice and variety masks, which are there, which is the need of the hour. And DTEX, we know that has been doing some amazing work in there. Along with that, our partner, VN International, which is a corporate gifting company and doing some amazing work with lots of corporates, lots of IT companies, as well as lots of trade associations. And now I would request you all, because I know a lot of people have come back to us asking, how can I connect with, how can we be updated about SowtexConnect more? How can we get to see the recordings and all that? I would request you that you should connect with us on SowtexConnect groups, which are available on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. And as we are talking, within a minute or so, our team will be posting the LinkedIn Connect as well as Facebook groups on the chat box. You can click them and you can be a part of the group to have all the information and the fun around SowtexConnect. And yes, whenever we do these events, we look forward to receive your questions, not after the event. Of course, we want your feedback after the event, but we even want to know from you before the event, what do you want to ask the expert? And then we create our program as what the industry needs. So we always are looking for your feedback, even before the event, is what do you want to hear? And after the event, how the event was. And as usual, we do send in a feedback form to all of you after the event to give us your valuable feedback. And now let's come to talk about that. And I would, let's see what we have. Sonal, I want to bring you in today here and talk about one last thing before we move forward for the event of the day. What is the value proposition, what Sowtex users really get?
So in terms of the value proposition, I would say there are the 8 critical propositions which is offered to the Sowtex users. It is the open business opportunities on the platform. We have a lot of business coming in from various geographies right on the platform, so people can come, join and explore that. We can connect with the new buyers and suppliers for the focus requirements. So those are something new, and it is very imperative in today's world, especially when in the pandemic time, when the people cannot go out, they cannot do and exchange new opportunities. So everything comes in on the Sowtex platform. People who find challenges of getting their business immediately digital, Sowtex offers a dynamic website which actually takes people directly and showcases their company, their USP, their infrastructure together. Complete portfolio management tools where people can share their designs, their stocks, their capacities, everything what is there available with them. Then another very unique, important tool that we've offered is a vendor and team management, where people can even get their existing vendors and the new vendors together on the same particular platform, and they can manage it there. And then we're offering digital marketing services for companies to market their products and services. Upskilling tools. So some of the areas which you have just heard from Gagan about the SowtexConnect, and last but not the least, the live networking events. With current pandemic time, everything is kind of stuck up and people cannot move together, move out of there to do more business. But Sowtex gives you an opportunity to do that networking events right here on the platform. And most of the things are intended for the business to grow. And what I see is that businesses across the world, they spend a minimum of 20 to 30 lakh rupees, or in the dollar terms, it is about at least $20,000 to $30,000 in actually doing these services. But we are offering this from a starting point of just $300. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much, Sonal, for this update. And I do know the way people are getting benefits and finding it value. This is just amazing. And now let's come to the session today. Today, we have Mr. Sareen with us. The topic is tech innovations in textiles and ways to leverage for industry in the pandemic. And it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Mr. Sareen to you all. Mr. Sareen is the chairman and founder of Tukatech, And for half a century, Ram Sareen has served the garment industry with an extensive history characterized by one word: disruptive. This philosophy is ingrained in Tukatech, the fashion technology solutions company Ram founded in 1995. Tukatech is credited with successfully bringing digital pattern making to dozens of countries and are an innovative leader in virtual sample making for design and fit with real-time motion simulation. They were the first to develop and implement on-demand manufacturing processes and are known for advanced cutting room solutions. Tukatech's robust systems are implemented by fashion experts from all corners of the garment industry. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Mr. Ram Sareen, who is there with us in the room. Ram, welcome to the session, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. And this session will be moderated by the founder of SowtexConnect Network, Sonil. Sonil has been a very dear friend for so many years, and it is his passion, it is his love to bring the industry together in the sourcing side of it, which has made me work with him. And I was seeing the passion in the past few years and say, okay, let's do something together. And Sonil, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to work with you for on this special SowtexConnect, which we have developed together. Thank you so much. And with this, I'm going to unshare my screen and I will hand it over to you to take over the session.
Thank you so much, Gagan. Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. And thank you once again to Mr. Ram for giving us the time and early in the morning. And I see that, during this point of time, and I just got to know about your medical condition also. So we're very sorry about that. But good to have you, and we're all excited to know your thoughts. So I'm going to just simply start off with understanding and putting up the context. So we have been seeing a lot of things happening around in the world in the last 1 year. And of course, things have not been very pleasant, but in terms of the technology, things have gone in a very different way, in a different tangent altogether. And I want to just start because we see you all, and we have been seeing you, and we've been witnessing Tukatech and what Tukatech has been doing in so many areas in the apparel manufacturing. What exactly is the new set of disruptive innovations you see has happened in the last 1 year?
First of all, thank you so much for your invitation. I just want everybody to know, for the record, I'm not getting paid for this. This may be a platform, but what attracts me about this platform is the knowledge share. And technology is not just the information, it's the knowledge. And to get that knowledge, you have to pay the price. This is what I call the mistakes, the cost of mistakes that brings the experience. They call me disruptor. I don't think when they started calling me, that was a buzzword at that time. I was thrown out of 7 schools before I finished my high school. Every time the principal wrote to my parents, too disruptive. I think it's in my DNA. I get bored. I'm always looking for a better, faster, easier solution. And if that is disruption, so be it. My mantra has been change is constant, growth is optional. In true definition of disruption is taking a status quo process and simplifying it. Sometimes you've got to start looking at it from the end. What is the end that I'm looking at? Not the means to get to that end, not the steps to get those processes to come to that end, but look at what is expected and how can I get it other than what I'm doing right now. That to me is a continuous evolvement of processes. As day changes, something new comes up. Pandemic, lockdown has created some rushes, some expeditions, which were really forced upon a lot of people. And so many of them came so suddenly all over the world that some of it got accepted very quickly, and some of them are being found as we go further, what I call getting it fine-tuned. As you start getting into the new technologies, the new processes, the new ways of working, you jump in, but the deeper you get in, more you find out where the gaps are. And that's what I call the fine-tuning. If I may share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay.
Styles varying from Western to
Just one
Eastern
sec.
designs.
Sorry. Okay. So this has been what I call the traditional retail model on the top, where we designed, then we developed the product, we delivered it to the warehouses, we did the data analysis of what is selling, what is not selling, whatever is not selling, we discounted, and whatever is gone out of season, we discarded. Very expensive, very, very bad business model, and nobody made money. The new on-demand manufacturing model is totally digital design, digital develop, digital display, analyze the data, whatever is not even being looked at, replace it digitally. Don't have to throw anything away because you're manufacturing on demand. The next thing was fabrics. We went into a lot of 3D solutions. The brands accepted it. The vendors accepted it because we were in the lockdowns. But where is the biggest drawback right now? It is in the fabrics. And if you really break it down, there are very few mills who are totally vertical in the SKUs. And when I say SKUs, I mean the large, very large mills catering to large and very large retailers who cut out a lot of people. For your information, that is only 14% of the SKUs. More than 85% of the SKUs, designs and fabrics and so on, are the second tier people who buy the gray goods. And those gray goods people are what we call converters, and they do many, many, many different things based on what are the market conditions, what are the fashions, fabric forecasts, the forecast of colors and so on. But if you look at their processes, and in our, what we call the fastest way of working and the slowest wheel in between or slowest operation, fabric acquisition has been always the lowest one. But before we even order the production yardage, look at what we are going through. The mill is creating based on whatever forecasting they are getting from lifestyles, colors, for the seasons, for the markets, they are developing their samples. Then they are putting those samples onto the swatches and swatch cards and shipping it through the agents who are going in front of the design houses and the retailers and the brands, who then look at those fabric swatches and see if that can be presented to make a sample. We haven't started producing the fabric yet. We don't even know what the fabric is going to be, the real production one, because all we are using right now is the sample yardage. This process is so archaic, so many textile shows, so many people. Can you imagine taking months and months and months before I even produce a garment out of this. This has been the biggest gap. Of course, when we started with the designer end, we had our own challenges. We were making tech packs and we were making the fabric swatches to go with that, the instructions. When the fabric guys present their options, the design house looks at it and chooses what they feel would be the appropriate fabric for whatever silhouettes they are thinking of making. Whenever a tech pack has gone out, this data is coming from 6 years of research with over 800 brands and retailers participated in that. The designer can close their eyes and actually visualize what they wanted with that fabric, with that color, with that silhouette. So they call somebody to sketch it, and they call somebody to make a tech pack. A vendor or somebody is going to produce the garment, which we call the sample, the first sample. So the first time when the designer gets to see what this entire process took, do you ever hear the words, "This is not what I wanted"? That was the question asked from almost every one of them. And more than 97% of the people said yes. But what did we do about it? We still went through the same process of making the tech pack. We know that thing didn't work. 97 out of 100 times we heard, "This is not what I wanted." So what change did we make? Nothing. Nothing. Till this pandemic. Because till then, everybody wanted, I want to touch and feel, I want to see the garment. Damn it. We are already working in the digital media. We were not designing based on my creation. We were all getting some kind of inspiration from some websites and some shows and so on. So we were in the digital space anyway. If we could get our inspiration from there, we can certainly see what the garment is going to drape like, look like, and so on. But maybe the designers were right. This we found out when we went to the next solution. We were the first company, we said, why don't we just give them, and I'm going to let you see this video first, and then I'll talk about it. It's a very short one.
Think differently and reverse the product development process. Instead of starting from a sketch, pattern, or physical sample, start from a 3D fashion asset. Tukatech provides a variety of ready-made 3D templates that were made from real 2D CAD patterns approved for fit. Choose a style, then choose a model, and bring the blank garment into the Tukatech 3D Designer Edition Visualizer software. Create colorways with your own artwork and visualize the results instantly. Integrate with your favorite graphic design software, such as Adobe Photoshop, and view multiple colorways at one time. Render your designs directly in the software and create 3D line sheets. Make comments and approve styles before any physical sampling is done. After a design is approved by the entire team, purchase the related pattern for $5 on Tukatech. Make minor modifications in the intuitive Tukatech CAD software, then immediately go to production. Instead of spending several days and thousands of dollars on the cost of development, design new products in only 1 hour for less than $15. Reverse the development process. Think differently.
So my objective here was, I already know what kind of silhouette do I want. I can buy that silhouette for $5, which is a 3D garment made from 2D pattern that fits perfectly on a fit model. there are 700 different fit models in the database. So whether I'm working for juniors or Missy or large sizes or children or men's or women's and so on, I have fitted the garments based on that. Now, for all the skeptics, no, 70% of the market is covered with that. But if you're good, you can actually take a block and then change that to your style lines in short time. But the $5 patterns is actually going to be one day free. So there will be no basic pattern makers. Google will be full of free patterns and free 3D garments. I'm not forecasting this. I've seen that in too many industries already. If the garment industry is too sleepy, is because they really are not looking at changes. And that is where the stopping is. When we started doing this, we found out there are gaps in here. Not everybody has their own in-house print designer, not their own house embroidery designers. And even if they go out and get those pictures or the swatches from the internet, it doesn't give me the real feel. I want to share the next video, which is really for intricate garments.
Visualize intricate embroidery and beading before any physical sampling is done with the Tuka 3D Designer Edition Visualizer. Tuka Web offers 3D fashion assets with styles varying from Western to Eastern designs such as kurtis, kurta pajamas for both men and women, saris, and even wedding dresses. Each 3D asset comes with tools like mini tech packs to make the product development process easier. View the number of pieces that come with a style, basic pattern measurements, pattern card, model measurements, and fabric information. Apply artwork and create colorways directly in the Visualizer software. Adjust the scale of repeat patterns, apply opacity to individual pieces, or even delete parts of the garment to only evaluate specific areas. Every 3D asset also comes with a true-to-scale flat pattern layout to create the artwork layout in the graphic design software of your choice. Simply edit the image, save the file, and apply the changes in the Visualizer software with a click of a button. Render images of the garment directly in the software to send to other team members for evaluation. Team members can make comments, and any changes can be applied in only a few minutes. The product development cycle is significantly reduced with no money or time spent on physical sampling until the final look of the garment is achieved with 3D visualization. When the design process is completed, purchase the pattern on Tuka Web for only $5 and go straight to production. Apply the same concept of limitless design to all types of silhouettes, such as kurtis, kurta pajamas, and saris. Think differently, think ahead, and reverse the process of development.
I'm happy to announce that fabrics are the one where we need you to pay the attention. We already have a few thousand people subscribing to this $29 a month and getting for $5 3D and $5 2D garments. It's impossible to do it for a larger company who's still looking at developing right from scratch. Even they have started to change so that they can offer more options to the customers. If we wanted to go to the next one is the fabrics. Now fabrics, to bring it digitally, we have a lot of issues in here. One is the mill is testing the fabric and giving the properties. And then the brand is asking the vendor to get the testing done for their own purposes. But when you start looking at it in the fabric properties, there are just quite a few of them which need to be digitalized, married together into the what we call a digital fabric that is usable for the digital processes. So when we look at the fabrics, there are all kinds of fabrics. These fabrics can go from whether it's just a mixture of certain yarns or elasticities and so on. So basically not the behavior, but also every possible property will change, even the change in what we call the softness, or how does it feel. Be the first one to be able to give you the touch and feel of what is the softness of that fabric and where does it flow based on certain formulas, which are our own processes. But again, the idea was to take all these formulas and create some kind of a way where I can actually create the behavior of the fabric, the look of the fabric, so that I have zero tolerance between my 3D garment and the real garment. This is a short video to explain that one.
Accurate virtual cloth simulation is key to 3D virtual sample making. Accurate virtual cloth simulation is key
Mr. Sareen, can you just increase the volume? The volume is slightly low.
Because precision is so important, discrepancies, 3D mesh resolution, system specifications, and even using different operators may result in calculation errors. To eliminate these variables, fabric testing is conducted by the Tukatech team at no additional charge.
I'm sorry, is that my volume here? No, it's not my volume.
Yeah, so your volume is coming all right, but some of the users are actually facing challenge that they're not able to see the video or they're not able to hear it. So probably in case if you can just check the volume of the screen of the video, that'll be better.
For Tuka 3D users.
I'm sorry, I can explain that, okay?
Yeah, that'll be better.
Can you hear me? Okay, basically,
Yes.
there's all kinds of testing equipment and testing.
The collective
Basically, the idea is that
fabric testing
whatever fabric we are going to be showing on the internet,
The new 3D fabric
giving that
added
access to the 3D people, we needed to make sure that we have universal format for every 3D company to be able to use the 3D digital cloth, and it should drape exactly the same way, regardless of which technology is being used. Tukatech was the first company in the CAD area before Gerberts and Electras of this world wanted to own in their own formats. We were the first one to come up with a totally open system. Any CAD system, any hardware, we connected to. And this has been our style of working. Rather than trying to own the entire world, we've always developed technologies that works with everybody. Same thing with the fabric database, that we want to make sure that all these properties are done. Now, many companies sell fabric testing equipment. In our experience, a lot of small companies can't afford to even buy these technologies, let alone buy all this testing. And the testing results are not exactly the same. It requires a little bit of what I call skills, how to use each and every tool, how to use it and get the right information at third decimal place. And if we don't have it, we don't really know if the data is right. Otherwise, we're going to have to make the garment to validate it. Here are a lot of things, scanning available, where we are actually taking the fabric and creating various formats for that in order to make sure that we are getting a 3D look of the real look of the garment of the digital fabric. And that fabric needs to be done at a place where we feel there is going to be a consistent data. So I'm announcing here, we are opening multiple labs at a substantial investment with our people. We've already been piloting with 3 different networks. And the objective again is to have all these converters put their fabrics in the proper format with the repeatability, with the pricing, with the availability of the fabric. So I can now do it, digital printing, digital cutting, digital sewing, digital showing on the internet. And then with my costing and with my availability, even offer demand manufacturing. This will be in 3 different places, one in Asia, one in Europe, and one in Americas. I very strongly believe that we will be manufacturing where we are going to be consuming. Already in Los Angeles, there are every possible mill and what I call the converters have either storages of their fabrics or availability of their fabrics. I will be announcing soon on where those, how this whole thing will work. But again, we want to take the step to open this to all the people who are really looking at a digital end-to-end solution, because we very strongly believe that simplifying the process is the only way to go forward. I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you so much for a very, very detailed presentation. However, it was quite incisive for people to understand and got a gist of it in terms of it. So we have some questions coming in. Let me just take a quick one question from Mr. Sakir Hafiz. Do you need any special scanners for doing this kind of scanning of the fabrics?
Actually, there are special scanners and there are special softwares to go with that. And most of the retailers are also looking at, see, when you look at retailers, I can count them on my hands who are really capable of doing a lot of this digitally in-house. Most of them want to pass that on to somebody else, whether it's a vendor or it's a design house or it's a private label manufacturer. And for everyone to go out and spend $25,000, $30,000 to a scanner is not possible. So this is the reason why we decided we are going to open 16 labs. We already have quite a few labs already open, testing, and the data is being transferred in there. But the objective again is to make one standard format that is available in the format of the choice, because it's available for various 3D users in different formats. So just picture this, you have a 3D fabric available, which can be imported, no different than when CAD data, pattern data is going into the DXF format, and then you have AAMA format and ASTM format. You have XTEX format in fabrics, and you have various formats in the fabrics. Again, in the 3D, there are various formats. 3D is not something new. It is new maybe in the apparel, but in the automotive industry, in film industry, we've been using 3D from different platforms, and it's a very open system. I don't know why people are so afraid. The designers are looking at from their lens and the manufacturers are looking at from their end. These things haven't connected yet. This is the frustration for a lot of people. Either it's cost prohibitive or it is technology prohibitive from the connectivity. But most of it is lack of knowledge and lack of finances for them to be able to adopt this. And we are trying to simplify that. Look, I'm a privately held company. I started this company after a heart attack and a retirement. So it was not through investor run. I wanted to help the little guy who can't afford technology. The process, the steps are exactly the same, regardless of your size. Whether you're a startup company or you're the largest company, everyone has to go through the same steps. The scale may be different. The difference is the larger company who's making money can actually compete and put the little guy out of business very quickly. And I wanted to go after the little guy. Help them. If they can't afford to buy a full CAD system, rent it. If they can't rent it because they don't have personnel, walk into one of my Tukatech centers and pay for the services. We got 62 of them around the globe. The objective was crawl, walk, and run, grow with it. They can't afford pattern makers. Buy the pattern for $5. They can't afford 3D system. Buy the 3D template for $5. Again, the younger people, the startups, they need help. They need knowledge. They need technology. And believe it or not, most of these technologies are self-learning because the younger ones, they figure things out. And we designed it in such a way that we don't put strings along with it, that you've got to stay with me. No, go wherever you want to.
So
I hope that answers.
Yes, definitely. So I see there is, one area which definitely you make one point very clear is the panel manufacturing, wherein instead of putting a lot of money in making the designs and making a physical sample and waiting for things to happen and show it to the buyer, and the life cycle of that actually goes a lot longer, because by the time you make a sample and you send it to, and maybe you ship it out to your buyers in the different locations, different regions, and by the time the order comes in, the entire essence and the timeline is way too long. And currently, with the current set of situations coming in, with the COVID around, things are a lot slower. And what you just showed out is something like you just create a design, send it to the buyer, see what his reaction is, let him see all the direction of what the silhouette is, what the pattern looks like. And once the buyer selects, and you go back to the buyer and say, okay, let me create a physical sample, send it out to you. So what I think one area which you completely nailed in one area is that the fact that you reduce the lead times of the apparel manufacturing, and you just make what is really required, and then start doing it from the scratch there, right? So that's completely an awesome way of going ahead, I would say. And I see most of the people who are coming from the manufacturing and especially from the apparel side, they can physically understand this technology. And you rightly said, the cost is just about $5, where you can just try it on. And with the tech, most of the youngsters can do it, I'm sure. With most of the companies, they have a merchandise and the designers, and they can try this thing for free, right? Almost free, or maybe like $5, right?
I wanna take one step further. We're still talking about samples. We're still talking about making samples, physical samples. Physical samples needs to be eliminated. What is the point of having a technology where you develop something digitally and then make physically to validate whether my data is correct or not? That is not technology. Most of our customers, more than 200 of them, do not make samples. They go digital to consumer, and they make one of a kind. So they are making samples, but that is sold already. That's what we call demand manufacturing. So your concept is thinking like making samples, keeping a small line of products, not trying to be everything for everybody. Every vendor today, go take a look in your own sample rooms. You have a demand manufacturing factory right now. You're just not getting paid for that. Use that model as your demand manufacturing and scale it. A lot of machines are there which can do a lot of things. You are not really thinking out of the box. You are creating four walls around you. You are a shirt company. You are a pant company. You are a dress company. You created that. You are a cut and sew business. You buy sewing machines. Yes, of course, there are 30% of the businesses which are specific. But when you start talking about most categories, whether it's blouses or dresses whether it is skirts or pants, a side seam is a side seam is a side seam. It's going to use the same machine. When I start looking at the operations in certain products, till about 90% of the assembly, operator doesn't even know what the garment is going to look like. It is only start taking the shape when it reaches about 85, 90%. So why do I have to block myself thinking I make shirts here? No, I make shirts and blouses and skirts and pants. Don't I do that in my sample room? As a vendor, I'm not a designer. As a vendor or sourcing company, whatever my buyer says, I make it. Why do I have to think huge quantities? To get to those huge quantities, you are getting very little money. And then you're spending a lot of money to get that little money or for big business. You've got to start thinking different. Go direct to consumer. What is wrong in selling in India for India? What is wrong in making for India in India? Because we are going to do that in America. I have not seen the growth that I'm seeing in the last 14 months in America. In the last 25 years, I've never seen a growth like that. Right now, we are only short of sewing machine operators. There's more technology going into that area than you can imagine. And I tell you what, when you get cornered, you find solution. We're paying $20 an hour average. We can afford. We're selling it lower than the other retailers, and yet making a lot of money. So where is the gap in all that old business model? Figure it out. If not, you have my email address. I do a lot of pro bono work. I'm working with colleges because colleges have failed to pivot to teach their students, because these students are coming out with hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans, student loans, and have no jobs. I'm working with industry people telling me why they are not hiring from colleges. So next talk of mine is going to be on that. There is a lot of data being put in. And India, as a matter of fact, India, and I mean this from the most objective way, nothing to do with me being an Indian. I work with a lot of institutes in India, and I've seen how Indian institutes have pivoted to see what is the need of the day of the industry and start teaching students there, while Americans and Europeans are still way behind, 20 years behind. So don't be surprised if Americans start coming to India to get further education in the fashion industry. This is not a forecast. This is not a threat. This is my prediction. My prediction, because I've seen it. They are getting zero value unless the colleges here change. It's all about starting right and doing it right. But you've got to have a bigger picture. Even the technology vendors. I urge all of you, if you're listening, always think one up and one down. Do you connect backwards and forwards? Otherwise, all you are doing is providing a band-aid solution to one person, and that's not a supply chain solution. Too many of you have a very short life because you didn't think it through. Don't rush it. Test it. Make sure you're validated. Okay.
Mr. Sareen, I have a very important point that I wanted to ask you. Manufacturers are increasingly facing requirements on sustainability norms from the buyers. And when the businesses are not getting sustainable, what measures do you think people should adopt at this point of time?
This word sustainability is so overused that we need to define what do we mean today in which context. So small steps. If I start looking at just a sample making, digital sample making versus physical sample making, more than 90% of the physical samples go in the garbage. 90% of those samples that go in the garbage have taken a lot of resources, fabrics, a lot of environmental, transportation, FedEx costs, a lot of associated costs just at the first step. In 2019, we produced 119 billion garments. 119 with a B for 7 billion people on this planet. The sad part is that more than 50 billion garments didn't even make it to the stores. And you know who the biggest culprits were? The big fashion designers, the big fashion houses. They rather destroy their clothes than mark it down or give it to somebody who's needy. Shoes. The amount of wastage that went in because we wanted to get it cheaper. To get it cheaper, the buyer squeezed somebody and the supplier asked for a bigger order just to meet that price. Even with those prices, we just couldn't find the buyers. There's only so many people. I did a math one time for the Wall Street idiots who measure you on what is your dollar sale versus dollar sale versus dollar sale. So 10 years ago, if I was doing $100 and I had $1 a garment, I had to sell 100 garments to make my $100. I went into the vendors and squeezed them so that I could sell that for 90 cents. Because for years, the prices at the retail level went down. But do you understand? From $1 to 90 cents, I had to now sell for $111, 111 garments to make my $100. And this trend went on. In 5 years, I had to sell 170 garments to get my $100. Where were we when we saw 14, 15 quarters in a row that retailers are not making money? Hello? Did we have a switch off in the light? Or were we thinking sustainability? We were not able to sustain our own businesses. You've got to first look at how do I sustain. Look, it's a very, very interesting topic. So my suggestion is take a process at a time rather than clubbing it all together and just become totally crazy. How do we sustain? I give example of PLM, another term which is used very widely in our industry, garment industry. There isn't a PLM system which is working anywhere in the garment industry. Process, life cycle management, yes. But product life cycle management, no. So why don't we just make that a process life cycle management, taking few processes and then making sure everybody's connected there and then making sure the next process is connected. And then these processes can be connected together. Same thing in the sustainability. Take one area and become best at that and then go to the next one, to the next one. And together, collectively, we can do that. I like your platform to collaborate. One cannot do it, but together is 11. 111, 1,111. Collaboration is an amazing, amazing word, but it has to be really selfless collaboration. Collaborate, to make sure others are more successful than you are. If everybody thinks that, everybody will be successful. Don't pull them down.
Absolutely.
Just make your partner more successful. Make your collaborator more successful. If everybody's thinking that, everybody will be successful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm sure with everyone in the room, they can make a lot from the networking and the collaboration side. We see that with the new digital world coming in, the collaboration will be the keyword, which is important. And that's where, I would say most of the people around should be looking at this particular area and should be looking at the way how to optimize on this particular area a lot more. I want to just quickly jump on to the next question, Shriram. This is with the product life cycle going short and operations going digital, how should the textile manufacturers adopt to this change with a lack of expertise and know-how?
The lessons that we learned in 2019 COVID, when Wuhan shut down, 90% of our supply chain was shut down. There was a panic. If we start documenting each and every trim and the item and the linings and the interlinings and the thread and the fusibles and so on, the number of miles that everything has to travel to come together to get to a product, to finally the consumer, it has traveled over 1 million miles. That shit has to stop. That has to stop. If we haven't learned the lessons, then we will never stay in business. No sustainability. This supply chain has to be small, short, and we have to eat what we grow. We have to wear what we need. We have to make where we sell. That is the fourth manufacturing revolution in the globe. It is coming from manufacturing. China will make for China for 1.4 billion people. India will make for India, and America will make for America, and Europe will make for America. But we will also make the other products that go along with that, not just only one. If labor was the only consideration, automotive business should have become all Asian, nothing in Europe and the United States. We were forced to keep the industries here. We just have to learn to work smart rather than just work with your pass on the buck to somebody else. We've been doing that for too long. And we need to change that. Supply, farm to table. Have you heard that term?
Yep.
Why? Why is that going so big? Because we understand that the produce grown overseas, by the time it's brought here, it has almost become poison.
Yeah.
Because it has been added with so many things to make sure it has that fresh looking life. So why is it Whole Foods, organics, and so on is coming in? Even in China, they have organic stores now. Why? Why do I have to eat mangoes 12 months a year in the United States? Because they bring it from all over the world. Things are changing. These are part of sustainabilities. We've got to have what we need. You look at Zara. What does Zara have? What is their business model? Everybody talks about how quickly, but if you really delve in, they keep the inventory of 50 million yards of gray goods at any given time, or maybe more. That was an old data, by the way, so don't quote me on that. But the objective was that within those countries surrounding their Morocco and Portugal and Spain, within those places, They can do a lot of short runs very quickly within 2 weeks. And that's what made Zara. Well, long runs, bigger ones, which are staple items, they could go out and get it made. Smaller quantities, but smaller quantities per store, so that they have a lot of stores. Sounds like a large quantity for an exporter. It's a mixture of two. Maybe I can make some here. Already, there are a lot of retailers who are doing it, a lot of brands who are doing it. 25, 30, 35, 40% of their total product is locally made, while the other country is making the other ones. These people put it in the stores to see the action and reaction very quickly. And if something is not cut because this is a failure, they stop it and drop it. The idea behind this thing is to cut out any option of losing money. It's all about information. How quickly can that information be passed on? I make better decisions. And that's where the digitalization comes in. Digital solutions are nothing but digital information. Who can tell me they have never made a bad decision? Almost all of us have, right? But when we made that decision, it wasn't our intent that today is the day when I'm going to make a bad decision. It was because I had new information come in and say, oh my God, based on this new information, that was a bad decision. So the name of the game is information. That's what digital solutions are, information.
So I see there is two things that I can understand from this entire conversation is that one transformation that we see, which is happening around in the fashion and textile landscape, is that a lot of productions are going to come into the domestic side, wherein people are going to be producing, or the countries are going to be producing products which are going to be homegrown. And there is a shift wherein because the turnaround has to be quick, 15, 20 days or 30 days maximum. So they have to put their raw materials together in some areas which are fast moving and something which is logistically things are not very challenged. They don't have to spend a lot of time in transporting the things. Now one area which particularly comes out here is that technology is going to be a lot of game changer. And my question again, I wanted to just rephrase it again, because technology is one of the area which is kind of little gray, especially in the South Asian markets, where manufacturers rely traditionally on their normal methods of doing sampling based on the buyer's demand and moving in that direction and taking that process longer. However, with the new concepts that you just shared out on the Tukatech kind of things, now how can people make it much more adoptable in their business models, and how do you think they can share this with the customers? Where you see is the right way to bridge out at that particular level? How do they bridge on the gap? Yeah.
Very, very good question. Very good question. It all starts with open mind first, and then willingness to change. First thing we have to start thinking here, that anyone who says, because we've always done it like that, must stop. Just because we've always done it like that is not the answer. So everyone should just question themselves, why am I doing this today? I did it yesterday. There was a reason. Why am I doing it today? How can I do it? If everyone within the organization start doing that, only for 30 days, write it down. Today, I'm not going to do this. Today, I'm not going to do this. And they present that. Let the management reward those people for thinking out of the box. Okay? That'll be the first change. Second change, look at it from objectively, from different angle. It all starts from fabrics. What is the strength of India in fabrics? There are certain fabrics which are available. And then there are certain, what I call the converters, who will do it faster. So your inventory has to be in fabrics, but raw materials, maybe demand printing, digital printing, which is available throughout India at a very low cost. It allows me to print on demand, but also print only what I want. If I want 968 yards, because my technology says this is what my order is, then I should just print 968 yards. Don't try to save money by buying volume. This has been the biggest drawback of our planet or our business model. If you don't believe me, go into your factories, look at all the leftover fabrics. That's money. It should have been in your pocket. Some idiot made you buy more fabric than you needed. And now you wonder, what am I going to do with that? You're going to waste your selling energy trying to sell this wasted fabric. You could have been selling full price products with the same time. So it's not what you're doing. Is at every one of those steps, if you start looking at demand manufacturing, doesn't mean what customer wants. Demand manufacturing is demand every step of the way. I need to buy what I need. I need to use what I bought, all of it. Less and more, both sides I'm going to lose. There are enough technologies available to give you a forecast. By the style, by the size, by the color, how many yards would you need? In mechanical industry, in automotive industry, this is what I've always benchmarked automotive industry. We call MRP, materials requirement planning. We don't have leftover washers or nuts, let alone yards and threads and counts and so on, okay? That's lack of planning. And its tools are available. If not, we'd be more than happy to discuss. I'm not here to talk about Tukatech. I'm here to talk about technologies that are available to give you exactly what you need. So yes, it may cost you 10 cents a yard more to do a small order. But by having minimum 1,500 yards and having 600 yards left over, hey, you just spend money on 1,500 yards, but you needed 900. So why do you think your 900 yards cost you $1 a yard, but will cost you $1,500 for 900 yards? That's where the thinking must change. So your fabric drives, keep small inventory, specialize, small product line, specialize, and make good money on that. If you want to scale the business, have another unit. Have another unit to do another specialized, but that should be another group. Not everybody doing everything. And that's where the problem occurs. You can't have a brain surgeon and a heart surgeon with one person. Somebody's going to screw up either the heart or the brain. And that's exactly what happens. We have merchandisers, we have planners, we have people who are doing assistants with assistants with assistants. And that needs to stop. We've got to have less number of people take more responsibilities. For example, few companies in Sri Lanka, we changed few things in there. We created a technology called automatic pattern making. This is not to replace pattern makers. But what was happening, that most of these brands and retailers are sending out what I call the feelers. Hey, this is the tech pack. Can you tell me how much is it going to be for such and such delivery? So the development department is spending so much time, more than 60% of their cost in product development at the vendor level is developing samples or very quickly doing the costing patterns to be able to give it to the merchandiser. And 90% of the times, that costing is wrong. Merchandiser is getting a number. This is going to take 1.5 yards. but nobody knows where the 1.5 yard came in. When they lose the order, then they wonder what happened. We shifted that thing to the merchandiser. You don't have to go to CAD room. You don't have to go to anybody else. I give you a tool in 15 minutes. You can sit there on your computer, punch in the numbers, out comes the graded pattern, put it out there, it gives you costing markers in 15 minutes. Most of the Sri Lankan companies have adopted that. So they've transferred from CAD to the merchandisers, increased their productivity by multifold by utilizing people, enabling them with technology and enabling them to give more without any help. I am the CEO, chairman of the company. When I was an employee working in the garment industry, at that time I had secretary and a personal assistant. And every time I had to travel to whatever factories and so on, I used to have folders prepared, which hotel, which airlines, which car rental, and I was still lost. Today, I am my secretary, I am my PA, and this is my tool, and I am way more informed and way more efficient. That is the technology that we need everybody to use. Start thinking, go make your own coffee, get your own tea. In India, we still like that. If the pencil drop, we press the button so the peon can come in and pick up the pencil and give it to you. I've witnessed that. That culture has to change. Call me by my first name. No, mister.
Okay. Ram, so I was just going to start off with the question. I'm
Fast
sure.
learner, eh? Fast learner.
I took about a second to get used to it, but yeah. So we have people, and they've got so many questions been pouring out, and both on the Q&A section as well as in the personal question to the panelists. So I would request everyone to be in the room. We are just starting with the questions now directly. We are just taking one by one. Please keep your comments and change your settings from all panelists to all panelists and attendees, so that whatever you want to ask or what you want to share, so that everybody in the room can actually see it. So just want to start with this. And for all the members who are there in this room, and in case if you missed out in the earlier part, so we are going to be posting this entire session of a conversation with Mr. Ram Sareen right on our Facebook as well as on our LinkedIn pages. So you can connect on SowtexConnect. That's our groups. You can reach out there and you can connect with you can connect to all the conversation happening here, as well as all the previous content which has been there with the rest of the panelists and the experts who always come and share the knowledge here. So let me just quickly start by taking up the questions from the group, and there are a host of them here. So starting from Dana Todd, I love that you are creating an open technologies. Thank you. And how do you think we can get more people to adopt to the mindset and methodologies? At the end, many still have to revert on the closed systems at some point of time in the process. Is it process to do a completely integrated on-demand supply chain at this time?
Good question. 1995, two things happened. Tukatech started, and my learnings were what not to do when I was running Gerber, and I saw the fight between Gerber and Lectra. And the people who were getting really the brunt of it were the vendors and the brands and the retailers who could not communicate with each other because Lectra wanted to own the entire world and the Gerber wanted to own their world. And something else happened. Windows came in, Windows 95, the first ones. Anybody who understands the computers, there used to be a thing called Unix. Each version was not compatible with the second version. That's how close the system was. So Bill Gates, from 3.14 to Windows 95, if anybody understands computers will understand that was a totally open system. That was a mini Unix. And when I saw this multiprocessing, multitasking, I knew that is the future. And I built my entire software on Windows 95. So today, just like in the old days, up to Windows 98, you had to download the drivers for certain printers, such as scanners and certain peripherals to go with Microsoft. But today, doesn't matter who makes what. Microsoft comes with it, updates. We were the first ones, until today, we are the only one who has the technology on Windows 100% Windows. That means you can learn the whole thing by yourself so long as you are a Windows user. One day to learn the entire system, so long as you know pattern making, weighting, and marker making. So I saw the benefit of collaborating with everybody. I did not want to own the entire world. My objective was to take the pattern makers who were manual pattern makers to bring them onto computers and let them go from there onwards to whatever CAD system they are grading and marker making. Sadly, for my competitors, people realize it's a very powerful system. Let's change that, whether it was Nike or Patagonia's or Guess. People started changing systems. And again, my competitors did not understand. They still wanted to do that closed-end systems. What happened? None of these technology companies have survived more than 13 years, unless they've been sold or bought out, merger acquisitions, or gone bankrupt. Knock on wood, 26 years, same owners. Why? Because we are focused. We don't want to own the entire world, but we want to have the solutions provided to the customers who then go out and sell for us. There is nothing like customers talking about you, good or bad. So if you can't listen to them and can't learn from them and can't pivot and can't change, something is wrong and you're going to have nothing but disappointments. That's my answer to your openness. And that openness, I'll give you one more example. I sell brain power software. I don't make any hardware, but we sell a lot of hardware, whether it's spreaders or cutters or unit production systems or plotters, but they all work with my components inside. Anybody who understands automotive business, you always go to the source who can make it best for you, whether it is certain engine or certain parts and so on. Anybody has heard AMG from Mercedes? Well, that's a different company. That's Tukatech. My cutters are made by an Italian company for the last 26 years. I sell my cutters in Italy against them. Both machines are made in the same factory, but my interior is different, my software is different, my processes are different, and I can outproduce 16 to 20% more productivity than they can, or any other cutter can. That is where the technology comes in. This is what we do. We don't want to sell to everybody. We're not China, we're Tukatech. Remember one thing. This is what my father used to say. Reputation will last longer than you will. Build your reputation. Not everything is not here in this life. That's American way. In Asia, we build quarter of a century at a time. And that's how we present our quarterly results. Sustainability. You're muted.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was quite, I think, very apt way to, answer that question, and it was very informative for the Just for the people who are there, still there with us, we have about 38 of them still in the room with us. Let me just try and take out some more questions. Navkar Fabric has a question. Is there a way that we can apply multiple digital prints on a particular garment for a catalog purpose?
Explain that one more time.
So what he wants to know is if he can apply a different kind of prints on a garment for his catalog purpose, just to show it to the customers. Is that possible?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. You've got to think digital. Okay. In digital, there are 3 layers. First layer is the body. Whoever the person, the fit model, where the garment is going to fit. That's the first layer. A lot of people miss that. Second is the digital pattern that is going to be sewn together. That digital pattern is a blank canvas. And then is the what we call texture, whether it's the fabric, the look of that fabric, or the print or the colorways. That is just creating a look. I don't have to see that reversing the process is I don't have to print the fabric, prepare the fabric, cut the garment, sew the garment to see how that would look in this. I can take this one particular blank template and come in with 50 different fabrics and see 50 different products and create my boards, show it to my customer what the garment is going to look like. Whatever they like, I can buy. So on this platform that we are creating or we'll be announcing, there will be everything. Embroidery people, people who sell prints, people who sell fabrics, people who sell gray goods, people who sell anything to do with making a digital garment in a digital asset with the cost, with the availability. So not only that I can develop, but I can cost it out. Sometimes we develop a lot of products, and when we start doing the costing, we drop it from the line because it costs us too much. The idea behind this thing is to have one platform, one place, all the information, so I have a product that I know what is the availability, what is the cost, and how can I make it. All that information needs to be in the digital space in one place. So this is not my own platform. So I just want you to know, again, I believe in collaboration. I'm collaborating with 3 different companies, one in Europe, one in the United States, and one in Asia. Okay. Soon we'll be announcing all of them. Okay. The first one will be in the United States.
Sure, thank you. The other question is from Kathy Arora. Good evening, sir. My question is related to the draped garments. Since a lot of traditional and ethnic styles around the world have draped as an important aspect, how can that be approached using a digital software like Tukatech? I think that you just explained in your thing. Do you want to give any further?
Yeah, each fabric drapes differently. There are many factors. And those factors, what we call the digital values, whether it's a bend or a stretch or a weight and so on, and whether it's what yarn and what is the type of yarn and so on, all that is being not tested properly or tested at the right places. So what we are doing is we're getting the approximate. Whenever we get in the approximate, there comes a need to really then do it to finalize before we take the risk. That gap, which is missing, is what we are adding in there. Till today, for the last 20 years, we have never sold or even asked any of our users to do their own testing. So we offer that free service. We offer with our 3D, every digital fabric tested and available to everybody on our database. Thousands and thousands of these fabric properties are already there. Reason for that, we know the integrity of that. Because we are also doing something that no other system does, which is real-time motion simulation. So when I do this at the fit models level. I want to do this at the 3D level to be able to see when I do this, what is the stretch here? Is it comfortable enough? Is it my fabric draping properly or not? Because my shoulder is the first point of drape, the apex of the bust is the second, and the hip is the third one, if I see from the side, and that all differs from one person to the other. Shoulder slope is different, sleeve cap is different. And if it is not draping properly, what I look at, this is exactly why the dummies failed. The dummies that Alvanon sold, millions of them, did not do anything. Dummies failed. We were still making samples because of the dummy. I would put it like this, it'll hold. I'll put it like this, it'll hold. Take the picture and send it to the customer. Customer says, okay, now make the sample and send it to me, right? I send the sample and they put it on the fit model. The fit model's shape was different than the dummy. Well, if these did not connect and we couldn't see it, we were going back and forth. What did we do today? Every 3D technology is using the same dummies, but now in the digital format. So the vendors are still making fit samples after the designers. So the Band-Aid solution has been provided by these 3D companies to the designers. Designers who wanted to create the first look sample, now they can. So they're okay. It's up to you after that. The next group takes over. Okay, I like the way it looks. Now make me a fit sample. That's fitting somebody else. That's where the disconnect is. We went developing the fit first and then the look. The look can be done for $29 a month. This is the reason why a few thousand of them showed up on our websites to subscribe in the last 14 months, ever since we launched. And this was forecasted 2 years ago that there will be no pattern makers making the first patterns. A t-shirt is a t-shirt is a t-shirt is a t-shirt. Why do I have to start making patterns from the beginning? Why can't I have one template? Then when I made it, it's a 3D garment. I can create any look I wanted to, any colorway I wanted to, any graphics I wanted to put it on there. It doesn't make a difference, the same thing. So many blank t-shirt companies are actually using this because, remember, they are the second tier selling to the final who buys blank t-shirts as inventory. They don't make t-shirts. Just few of my customers in Los Angeles alone sell 7 million blank t-shirts per day. That is the size of the market we are talking about. They have customers buying 50,000, 10,000, 20,000 t-shirts per month. But there are lots of them, whether it's airports or it is the promotional items or whatever. They buy blank t-shirts. They don't have to do what we call strike offs. They can do digital look, get that approval, and it's done. They are the one who are looking at all these technologies because the margins are small.
Thank you. Mr. Mayank Agarwal had the same question. I hope this entire conversation answers your question as well in terms of the draping or the silk and the cotton fabrics also. I don't think this should be any much different. However, Mr. Ram has just answered the fact that in case that there is a fabric that can be put into the detailing of the product, the stretchability and everything can also be taken care of there. So a very interesting question from Mr. Kaushik Vardhan. Are there any options available for the fashion accessories?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You look at one of my largest customers in Pakistan, company is called Khadi, Khaadi, totally vertical. They do a lot of embroideries. They do a lot of embellishments and the different lines. They don't make samples. They don't make a sample. They have 85 designers working on 3D, because remember, the silhouettes are the same. Only the look changes. I can create all that digitally and then pass it on to the factory, make small quantities. The difference is that that company thinks digital. They have grown to become a huge, big retailer in Europe and in Asia, Middle East. Very small quantities they can produce and then still produce fast enough before somebody else can copy that. This is where technology plays a major role. By the way, I just want to share something. In America, they have an annual event called this 100 CIOs, Chief Information Officers Awards. The one and only Pakistani ever received that was the CIO of Khadi, because of digital technologies, not only Tukatech, but a lot of digital technologies that they put it in, so they know who did what, when, why, and what do they need to do with the suggestive technologies. But their implementation was with a different mindset. They created small successes for people who were going to use the technology. So rather than forcing people that you've got to do this, the attitude between people who are going to use is, can your technology do this? Can your technology do that? Rather than going through the testing of this, they accept the technology can do it, and let's make small successes. This is where I think we need to just change the attitude a little bit. There are a lot of embellishments. And by the way, we have a Tuka Center in Bangalore. Mr. Jagdish Chawla, who is an ex, I don't know if I should be saying this, but he was the first one to be the CEO of a demand manufacturing dress company out of Sri Lanka. He's an ex-Reliance guy. He's running our Tuka Center over there in Bangalore, and really working with Amazons and Reliance and all the companies. Why? Because that's what the business is today. Outsource, whatever you can't do it. We can do a lot of combining this together, but objective again is to shorten the cycle time and increase the margin of profit. Wherever you're bleeding, must take another look, Why do I have this? Why do I have this person? Can I do it without it? Why do I have this process? Can I do it without it? How can I replace it? If you don't sustain yourself in the business, there's one guarantee beside taxes and death. You will go out of business. Italy did that successfully 50 years ago. Wherever they could replace a person, they replaced it with technology. Wherever they could replace a person, they replaced with technology. Technology gets paid off, person's cost keeps going up. A time comes when you just can't afford. All the companies who are more than 5-year-old are getting top heavy. And the time comes, if they don't change, that their margins will be so low, they won't go bankrupt, they just close up. 2008 happened, 2020 is happening. It's going to happen on a continuous basis every time the pressure comes in, because we are what we call reactive people. When the shit hits the fan, we say, what do we do now? Got to be proactive. You got to think change. Otherwise, Rabba Prose. For those in India would understand that.
Yes, absolutely. We have some more questions for you. I know the time is almost gone beyond our time. I will take about another 5 more minutes to wrap up the session. This is from Mr. Ashok Pal. He's asking, how do you arrive on the cost of the garment making through a digital sewing? through a digital tool. So probably what we are trying to understand is how we do it in case he's making digital pattern or through a digital garment. How do we arrive on the cost of making the garment?
Very interesting. I'm not a very strong believer of doing the costing of sewing. I'm a very strong believer of going after the low-hanging fruit. Okay. I started my life as a junior industrial engineer in America, or in Canada rather. And I remember having 3 clocks to do the time study, getting the time values before GSDs came in to the 3rd decimal place, and then setting up the rate, and 30 days temporary rate, and then you find out the girl is not making the money. Then the boss comes in and say, add 15%. Where did that 15% come in? Or because we wanted to give her the minimum that she must get, and we are making up that, therefore increase the rate. Where is my biggest cost? My biggest cost is fabric. My first focus has to be, how do I save every square inch of my fabric? How do I utilize? 70% of my cost is fabric. Saving 10% of that, 5% of that is way more than my total labor cost. GSD values are guidelines. How many minutes would the garment be? But the efficiency of the people are not measured properly. If you start looking at the efficiency of factories in India, there isn't a factory running more than 60%. And that's really good factories. Most of the factories run between 30 to 35%. What's the point of learning the data when you don't know what the method should be? I'm going to give you one number. The best running factories, and I mean the best running factories, the average needle time when the needle is going in and out is 8% of the total day. 92% of the time in the best running factories, handling and motions, useless motion when the machine is not moving. And the only time you're getting the production is when the needle is going in and out. Doesn't matter how the RPM is. If this is the length and I have to stop 4 times rather than going slow and completing it, it's all in the motions. So that's a different subject. I can sit and talk on that subject for an hour and a half, okay? I grew up in the factories. I am an engineer, but I can make a pattern, do the grading, make the marker cut, and so I make a man's suit and fit perfectly, make a piecework rate. Most of the management people have no idea. I run my own CAD systems. I make my own patterns. I test my fabrics. I test my technology. That is why I can say it. What is the value of that? Nobody in my competitive area can actually give a demo of their own system or training of their own system. This is the level for management has to be in their own jobs. How can you supervise something? How can you ask somebody to do something if you don't even know, A, what is it that they are supposed to be doing, what the quality should be, and how long should it take? First, learn their process. Free advice. Now, I'm going to plug something in there because I am just one of the hundreds and thousands of people in my age group who have been in the industry. Many of them are still there. Many of them are gone. Before we go away, I started a platform called Tukatech. Tukatech is a knowledge share platform strictly with conversation with 2 people about one subject or the other, that you just want to be a fly on the wall to understand and listen to that conversation. Nobody's promoting a product, a process, or a person on that. That is the first rule. It is free knowledge share. That is where you go and ask your questions. And if I don't have the answer, I will make sure I have the right people who can come in. But when you go there, it's Tuka Talks on YouTube or the iTunes or podcast available in Spotify and so on. It's free. I spent a lot of money, a lot of time on this one. It's my contribution to the industry. But the objective again is to share the knowledge. Okay? Tuka Talks.
So thank you so much for sharing that, Saram. And I'm just going to take last 2-3 questions. I think this is from Mansoor Nadeem, and he's got about 2-3 questions in the series. Can we use this technology for the leather jackets, puffer jackets, and other technical textiles like workwear and performance wear? If yes,
absolutely.
If yes,
I read his question. Yes, if it is cut and sew, whether it is car seats or whether it is aircraft interiors, whether it's furniture or clothing, whether it's leather or quilted, whatever you can do, you can show it on this one, draping of that. It's not restricted.
I'm sure then this can, there is a very follow-up question on some not fashion-related products like air mattress, rubber inflatable boats. If that can be, the same technology can be used here also?
No.
Okay.
No, but there are other systems available for that.
Okay.
There are 3D systems available, 3D Studio Max, Maya. There are a lot of schools who are teaching for those products and so on, for industrial products. Okay. Here we are more concerned about the fit, because fashion is fit. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't sell. You can create the most beautiful looking garment and hang it on the hanger or put it on a dummy. But if it doesn't fit the customer, they are not buying it. So your first objective has been, or has to be, how can I create the best fitting garment? All of us who have clothes, we must look at why 10-15% of our closet is our favorite garments, because they fit beautiful. We get a lot of compliments. And when we get compliments, we go buy the same brand because the brand is making sure that they always give me consistent fit. If I am size 10 of one brand, every time I should go there, I should be only looking for new fashion, not trying out different sizes. If I like the fashion, I should just get my size 10, regardless of what category I buy. That is how you build the brand with the right fit. This is what 3D does. Create the right fit and consistently keep the same way.
There is a last question which is coming up, which is, do you suggest any software for students as well as designers in this particular area?
500 plus colleges teach with Tukatech. There are more 3D labs in the universities from Tukatech than any garment industry people have. Why? Because they all understand that they have to teach fit. We created a platform where, rather than teaching students from A to Z and spending so much time on teaching the basics, which are never going to be used, we created programs where colleges now have students subscribe to our learning edition, buy the course, learn the entire thing on their own time, especially in this pandemic. And then the teachers are teaching what I call the advanced courses, how to manipulate the patterns to create new style lines, rather than starting from scratch and spend 70% of their time. So the students are happy, the faculty is happy. We'll be more than happy to share that, but wait for my Tuka talks on this, colleges and education. I'm I'm going to be speaking next week to interviewing one of the leading universities here in India, Dr. Joshi from MIT, okay. I sit on the board of several countries, textile boards, as well as so many colleges and universities, basically at the advisory level. So it becomes easier for me to be able to guide them in the right direction where the industry is going, kind of a go between the industry and the education people. And I very strongly believe in good education. Good education means strong industry. Good education means strong country and healthy people, okay, mentally too.
So I think we are almost towards the end of the session, and Ms. Soumya Ranjan has put in the last question saying that in case if we create the entire sampling on the digital side, how much is the precision that we can get? I would like, Mr. Ram, you want to just conclude this complete session with this final answer.
Okay, so this is where now I'm getting personal, okay? Go to tukatech.com, and we have a portal called Tukaweb. So go to Tukaweb. Over there, you can actually subscribe, and you can even get a course that you can learn, and you can buy those assets. Now, depends on who you are, which market you cater to. If you're making large sizes, or you're making young girls, or you're making men's or women's, there are various models that you can choose. The system shows the shape of the model, the measurements of the model, and so on. And you can choose that, and then choose what garments have been draped on that person. They were made from 2D patterns that fit perfectly, and then they were draped together. Now, when you get the 3D template, it's going to cost you $5. This opens up in PNG, and now you can bring your print files and your embroidery files and put it on those wherever you wanted to put the logo, and it makes a 3D garment in that shape. You can create different versions of that. And you know, the first one is just the look, but underneath there is a great foundation, perfectly fitting pattern was used. If one is approved, you can now go and buy the pattern for $5, cut it and sew it on that fabric. It'll fit perfectly. If you don't believe me, ask a few thousand people who are already using it. I'll tell you something, guys. This year, there are more startups than I've ever seen, even in the technology era. 80% of them are going to go out of business. Okay, one more time. 80% of all the startups, because they have ideas, they are young people, lack of understanding, knowledge, practical understanding. Some of them are going to blow the money and go away. But the 20% that will make it is such a large number that will take a lot of major retailers out of business. And they have the platforms. Amazon became bigger than Walmart. Walmart just added millions of more SKUs to similar platform. So platforms are available for independence. There are more independent contractors, manufacturers in China selling to United States directly to consumers through all these, while we are sitting and twiddling our thumbs and wondering what the hell should we do with the technology? Should we be doing this? Should stop thinking, do something, or you are really in big trouble. Stop procrastinating. That is the worst thing about India. Who's trying to price things? Take a step, move on, make it happen. Make it happen. One day that goes by is not coming back. I get very emotional. My Janam Bhumi is India. My Karam Bhumi is America. I have loyalty to both. That's it. I am not loyal to a religion or a creed or a race. I'm indebted to my country for giving me the education, my upbringing. I'm indebted to this country where I make my living. That's where my loyalty starts and finishes.
Thank you.
Please, I urge you all, think differently. What happened yesterday was yesterday. You've got to think today and tomorrow. Don't get surprises. Okay? I'll keep you young too.
Thank you. That was a very, very insightful session, Mr. Ram. And thank you once again for sharing such tremendous insight about what's happening around, what's happening in the parallel technology, what's happening at the Tukatech, and what people can do to make it different, to make a difference right coming into their in their businesses. And I'm sure with these kind of technologies coming in, with this kind of mindset, especially not the technology, but this is the kind of mindset that we're kind of building it, and the kind of thoughts that are coming out here, and especially from a person who has already been there for almost 50 years of his life and sharing his tremendous contribution. I say you just got started. That's the only way I can say that. And we would love to have you around with more of these powerful insights coming in. And I leave it back to Gagan now. Gagan, it's time for you to take over.
Yes, thank you so much. I've been a listener for the past almost 2 hours now, and it doesn't look like that we passed just two hours so intriguing session, so inspirational, and I can see from the messages coming in the chat box that how much people have liked it. So thank you so much, Ram, for this wonderful, wonderful session. As I've already said in one of the earlier sessions, the gems hidden at every single place. Thank you so much, and we are indebted that, and the people we are indebted that you came here, spoke to us, answered people's questions, and added so much value to us and to the session. Thank you one more time. Thank you so much.
I want to share one last comment.
Sure.
Okay. And this is not related to politics. Okay. This is my personal experience. I started going to Pakistan in 2016. And to my utter surprise, and I mean that utter surprise, I had never seen infrastructures in the apparel industry and the commitment in the automation in a country like Pakistan. Not in any other countries nearby. And I guess this is where I get to say necessity is the mother of invention. Because of their status, most of the buyers were afraid to go there. Most of the people, they couldn't show their strength. They couldn't show their might, so to speak. And they were no different than putting their samples in a suitcase and meeting them in Hong Kong or going to the United States to show their samples, their products, and so on. And I gotta tell you something, we got spoiled in India while all these buyers from Europe were coming in, and we lacked off. We kind of passed on the buck to the others and said, let them do it. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. And we lost a lot of marketplace. China had the same thing, but China made it different. When I looked at China back in 2005, because it is a communist country, they can dictate how they want to run the business. And they stole a lot of business, but they made sure that they marketed extremely well. The 5-star hotels were available for $60 with fax machines and all the internet and everything available in your room. And you could stay there for a week, 2 without really going crazy. Why? Because they wanted you to stay and give the business. They created local TV stations to come in and interview you and put that on that local TV and then give you the tape so you can come back to America and show. They kissed your ass, man. We're terrible marketers. We think our shit is so good that it's going to sell. Trust me. In America, a lot of people don't even know what India can do. India is terrible marketer. Terrible. I have brought people from America to India and they go totally nuts. Wow. While we are spoiled here by Chinese and Korean and Taiwanese who have the agents who are bringing to their platter in their time zone. You've got to do something in the fabrics. That's where it starts. So many Indians haven't learned one thing. Why is the brand nominating different mills outside of India when we are the best producers of the fabric? Why? Because that marketing was done by the fabric people and we failed there. That's where everything starts. So you, Mr. Sowtex, have to look at this and say, all right, how do I market my fabrics? It all starts from there. All starts from there. If you can't look around, denim people, they say our mills are terrible quality as compared to Pakistani mills. I've had several companies tell me that, and I agree with them. The fabric quality is awesome in Pakistan. They've got great institutes, they've got great technicians, and they've got great commitment because they don't have a second chance. They don't have people who are buying their clothes. We have a lot of people who buy our shit. And many people have told me that every time I complain to the mill for their quality, they say, if you want to cancel the order, it's okay because I can sell it to a domestic guy. What kind of attitude is that? Change. Change. Don't count yourself. I'm a crorepati. Count yourself in dollars and you are nobody. Come to the planet reality and then you can become a global player. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. My day just started.
Thank you.
Only 8:30 in the morning.
Thank you so much. That was really awesome. And thank you so much for that.
I apologize to anybody if I have offended anybody because I speak my mind. Okay. I have been like this all my life. And at age 71, I don't think I'm going to change.
Absolutely. We like to learn your thoughts and the insights that you gathered and especially the experience that you are imparting through these powerful sessions here. So thank you so much for that particular area. Over to you, Gagan.
Thank you. Thank you. I just have no words what the way you mentioned and what you mentioned. And I love the fact that, as you say, that you speak your mind. And this is what we want to hear for that matter. Thank you. Thank you so much one more time. And you stay safe, take care of yourself and get well soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
All right.
So before we wrap up, just a last conversation, everyone, for whosoever is there in the room and people who missed out on this session, we're going to be posting the live recording of this, the complete recording of this session on SowtexConnect. So we would be also be sharing out the entire links and details in the emails. Please leave your feedbacks about this session. And we would love to hear what you want us to do and what kind of changes you want us to bring it on this kind of sessions. And we would love to have people like Ram and especially him once again on this special sometime down in the year. So thank you very much, Mr. Ram, and we are totally indebted with the kind of commitment you have given out and joining us live early in the morning from LA. So thank you once again for coming and sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
With this,
Bye-bye.
just one thing, please come back to us next week when we do a session on design for environment, right? So with this, we will be sending you a lot more information about it. Thank you so much and bye-bye for today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.